Introducing Oakley Meta Vanguard, the new performance AI glasses designed for athletes. With hands-free capture on an action-ready ultra-wide camera, powerful open-ear speakers, and built-in Meta AI that syncs with your Garmin devices for real-time insights while you train. Take your performance to the next level with Oakley Meta Vanguard. Athletic intelligence is here. Learn more on meta.com.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Final stone of the ninth end of this Olympic final, and Eve Muirhead, the skip, a bronze medalist in 2014, is going to release this stone down the ice now. It's all over. It's Great Britain who have beaten Japan, and Eve Muirhead punches the air, a broad grin across her face.
So that was the moment Team GB won Olympic gold at the Winter Games in Beijing in 2022. The team of Vicky Wright, Jen Dodds, Hayley Duff and alternate Millie Smith, skipped by our guest on this latest edition of Great British Bosses from Anything But Footy. I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and it was quite a story. And a tale that involves a Toronto strip club, Russian prostitutes, vodka shots, Calvin Harris and a Lego sheep. Sounds like it would be worth buying and reading that to me, which is lucky, because that's exactly what you can now do in a new memoir, Ice Queen.
I'm Eve Muirhead. I was the skip of Team GB, won the gold medal in Beijing 2022. I am now chef de mission for the upcoming Winter Olympic Games in Milan, and also the author of my new autobiography, Ice Queen.
Eve, it is a brilliant read. I mentioned some of the highlights there. I've got to say, when I got a book from Eve Muirhead, I was not expecting to read stories about prostitutes, strip clubs, vodka shots, but just take us back. Why did you choose now to write the book?
It's something I've always maybe wanted to do, is share my story. I think it's important that people see the kind of real life behind an athlete. Of course, you could put all the kind of boring stories in it, but I wanted to put it to life and have the real life stories. And of course, along the way, as you mentioned there's of course there's a bit of fun, but there's also a lot of hard work and ups and downs that go into an athlete's life. So I really kind of showed the real me, and that's exactly what I wanted to do.
And you talk in the early part of the book about you at school and how academically you found things quite challenging in terms of reading a book from cover to cover. So what was the process like to write one from cover to cover?
If I'm perfectly honest, it's probably one of the hardest things I have done. And I'm actually quite proud of myself for kind of getting out the other side. There was so many times I was like, no, I can't do this. And even towards the end, when it was close to getting published and put out there in the big world, I was still like, I don't know whether I want to. And but yeah, as I say, I'm proud of myself to get it out there. I think it's important that we do share our stories. And of course, it's important that we show there's a lot more kind of failure out there. And yeah, there's times that you just can't really hide it anymore. And it's exciting. I've had a lot of so great kind of feedback from it. And if I can inspire one or two people to get either into sport, to realize that life isn't just plain sailing, and we're all kind of on the same band, if you know what I mean, the same page.
Because when you read the book, I wouldn't describe you as the normal athlete. That all came and you had to learn how to be the serious Olympic athlete.
Yeah, like I think I was quite lucky that I had quite a lot of natural talent for curling. But natural talent can only take you so far, can't it? And I think at my kind of younger age, when I'll be honest, like I was quite immature at times, but I didn't realize that kind of discipline, consistency then would kind of lead to longer term success. Like when I was younger, I wasn't really scared of losing. I wasn't scared of failing. But as my kind of career went on and I became a little more successful, I started to put a lot more pressure on myself. And that's when kind of small mistakes start to kind of escalate into bigger mistakes. And it's all about how I turned that around to then get back on the ice for Beijing. And yeah, and how I dealt with myself there. And that was me going back to how I used to be. Like I wasn't scared of making mistakes. As a team, we had a lot of fun. And it just shows you that when you do have fun, and most importantly, when you do enjoy it, that's when the results go your way.
And what stood out is you enjoy being part of a team.
I do. I absolutely love being part of a team, and as much as I played a lot of golf as well, and it's more an individual sport. I think curling's yeah, I couldn't have done any of it without my team behind me. And being a skipper, it's quite a lonely role actually. As much as it's a team, it's quite an isolated, lonely role. A lot of kind of thinking time, just you. But you've got your team there as support and backup, and away from the ice you're literally spending like you're sharing rooms with them, you're eating with them, you're training with them. So it's really, really important that as a team you gel, you get on. But I think what we did great when it came to Beijing was we respected what we all wanted and needed, and we kind of created that safe space that we could speak up if we needed to.
And I think one of the things that perhaps I didn't understand until I read the book, as a skip, you first and foremost are an athlete, but you're making the big decisions as well. So, for example, you made a decision to dispense with a coach, and that's not what a captain of a team would normally be doing.
So several years ago, when British curling, I would say when the sport wasn't as professional as what it is now, it was up to us to put together our team, to select our coach, and of course, like when it's up to the team to do that, usually a lot of it comes down to the skipper, the captain, to have those awkward conversations when a conversation needs to take place. For example, moving on to a new coach, changing players. And yeah, that happened several times. And yeah, it's horrible, horrible situations, but you know you're doing it because it's the best for the team. And we've had some of the best coaches in the world coach us. And sometimes you do just need to move on. You need some new ideas, you need some new blood. And it's the same in all sports. And those times came. And as I say, like as a leader or a skip, I had to have those tough conversations. And fortunately now, the way the programs are run, all that's done for you, and you're told who your coach is, you're told who your team is. So yeah, I only wish it was like that several years ago.
But that background, that experience must now set you up perfectly for this chef de mission role that you're in, because you will see things very much from an athlete point of view, from your experience for Olympics. But you've also done the management side, the details, the logistics and everything else. You talk about you were the one making sure everyone was at the airport at the right time, for example.
That's what I want to do in this role, and I want to make sure that we've got the perfect platform for these athletes to perform on. It's not just about the athletes. We need the coaches to perform. We need the full support network to perform. We need all the HQ staff to perform. It's about us all kind of coming together and doing all we can for the athletes. And yeah, I'm sure one of the reasons that I was asked to do this role was because of my background. I've got that experience. I know what it takes. I've got that leadership skills, the kind of performing under pressure skills. So I'm taking all of that and putting it into this chef de mission role, and I'm really really enjoying it. And it's satisfying when you see smiles on people's faces. And I just can't wait for the games to come around. I feel like we're in a really, really great place. I've got a fantastic team behind me at the British Olympic Association, and believe you me, without them, like it would be I don't know if I couldn't do it. Is the bottom line. I'm still asking stupid questions today, but I guess you don't know what you don't know, do you? So, no, I'm enjoying it, and it's quite satisfying, as I say, because hopefully I'm going to be part of delivering those athletes' dreams come games time.
How different is it in the build up to these Olympics than, as Michael mentioned, the four that you went to as an athlete?
I feel the same pressure, but a different kind of pressure. Like as an athlete, right now, you're kind of you're on tour, you're competing, you're playing against quite a lot of the teams that are going to be at the game. So you're kind of gauging how your performance is against them. You're probably overthinking a lot of things. And then in this role, it's similar, but it's more making sure we've got that perfect environment for the athletes. So it's about going out to Milan Cortina, testing little things, for example, like public transport, what the village is like in terms of home for home, tech, like where the sockets are, like, do you know what things you just don't think of? For branding, like we need to know sizes, etc., etc. So then we can get the order in, and then the freight goes out December. So you've got to make sure and hit those deadlines. But it's also keeping an eye on how the winter guys are getting on. Speaking to their team leaders to see what they need, what they want. Um, the one kind of part of it that I didn't appreciate was how tight accreditations are come games time. And for sports, ideally, they could say, yeah, we want physio, we want team leader, we want head coach, team coach, psychologist. We want all these people in the village with us to make it as best we can. But sorry, you only get two accreditations, and that's not our choice. Like that's part of what the organising committee put down. So we've got to make that decision, like who will be best in the village, and then who's best out of the village in hotel accommodation. But then it's securing that hotel accommodation and making sure it's not too far from the village. So and the transport links work. It's like so much to it. And as an athlete, sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I was still an athlete because you literally turn up and everything's done for you. But it's good.
And we know that the curling team has been announced, for example, for Team GB, but the rest of the teams haven't been revealed. So you're kind of working generally with kind of names or no names, aren't you? Just like numbers.
Yeah, so the curlers were announced a few months ago, which is exciting. I think that's great. So they can now plan their season around the holding camp, when they're going to fly, Olympic Games, etc., etc. And skating will be December time, and then GB snow sports, sliding, etc., are a little closer to the games. And that's what does make it tricky, is we're always working on a kind of estimated team size. And of course, like kit, one thing that everybody loves come the Olympic Games, the Adidas kit that we get. So you're working with a big long list of athletes up until kind of last minute. And you want all these athletes to experience the kind of kitting out, etc., make sure all the kit's the right sizes. But it's hard when athletes aren't actually selected. Like what you say, it's fine for the curlers. Like we know we can fit that in because they are going to the games, those names. But for other sports, it's tricky. So yeah, so it's just working with the kind of coaches, team leaders on a really kind of their best estimate of who's going to qualify, who's going to get selected, and yeah, giving it the best kind of guess.
Let me say these words to you, Eve. Carry out wine on the beach, hangovers in Inverness, trying to pretend you weren't drunk on gin, and that's all in the first 50 pages. We've not even got to Tia Maria with Granny at Christmas and the free Budweiser in Vancouver. Who knew curling was the new rock and roll?
Well, like I said, when I was younger, I maybe was slightly like I was immature, yes. I was just living the best life, if you know what I mean. I was lucky that I had talent in the sport of curling. I maybe took it a little bit for granted at times, and I guess going to Vancouver Winter Olympic Games for me, it was a bit of an eye opener. Of course, you can perform on tour, but it's the big moments that then really kind of the kind of small mistakes escalate and cracks become exposed. So when I got to Vancouver, that's when I kind of realized that if I really wanted to take this sport further and be one of those athletes in the top of the podium, I needed to, well, I guess, screw the nut a little bit. And that's exactly what I did. And between probably leading into Sochi until Beijing, like I could count on one hand the amount of training sessions that I missed, probably doubled with extra training sessions. And that's when I really kind of, yeah, knuckled down and yeah, I dedicated not just time to the sport, but I dedicated my full life to the sport.
And I'm sure John will get onto some of the serious stuff, taking you through your Olympic journey. And of course, as you kind of hinted at earlier, the important stuff in the book around mental health as well. But sticking with some of the more frivolous stuff, how are you related to Donald Trump again?
I'm not me personally. My mum's friend is, and like I find it really. So I was invited to a Dress to Kill event in 2010 on the back of the Vancouver Olympics. So in New York in America, and it was a drinks reception with Sir Sean Connery, and yeah, who else was there but Donald Trump? So I've got a selfie with him. But who knew back then that today he's probably going to be one of the most powerful men in the world? Like it's funny how things change.
I'm surprised he's not claimed your gold medal. He claims most other things, hasn't he?
True, very true. I do know that when the American team won the gold medal in Pyeongchang in 2018, I know he phoned up the head coach to congratulate him because, yeah, I do know that.
We're in conversation with Eve Muirhead on Great British Bosses, Olympic champion, chef de mission for Team GB, and the author of a new memoir, Ice Queen.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least that was the plan. Except now the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
So the 4 Olympic Games that you were competing in, very big highs, very big lows. Talk us through it. I mean, I don't expect you to read out the book, but just the fact that journey was so stark and so different.
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting journey because I'd love to say like success was linear, but it absolutely isn't. And touching on Vancouver again, I guess I was just 19 years old, and I guess you could say I was kind of thrown in the deep end a little bit there. Then Sochi, we went in as the world champions and tasted success, came away with the bronze medal. Moving on to Pyeongchang, I would say failure. That hit me really hard, that games, because I did have a shot to win a bronze medal, a very makeable shot. I would 9 times out of 10 I make that in practice, but in that moment, unfortunately, I missed it, and still to this day, that shot would play over and over in my head. So on the back of that, it did. I was probably in my worst state on the back of that, and leading into Beijing actually. So yeah, it's all about kind of turning that round and focusing on the parts of your life that are important. Managed to get myself back on the ice. I took some time off, a little extra time off, and focused a lot on myself. I also focused a lot on my teammates. Like I wanted my teammates to feel like they're really the best in the world and they were amazing. And that's what I realized, that if you can make your teammates feel great, then you're going to get the most out of them, aren't you? And we certainly did do that in Beijing.
And a superb high to finish. Did that make it easier to finish?
I'm very lucky that I did. I finished Olympic champion, world champion, and European champion. And I guess not a lot of athletes can say that. And it does worry me a little bit that athletes that retire who haven't finished on a high must be really, really tough. Because I know what it's like having retired on a complete high. Like I couldn't have retired at any higher state within my sport, and I still find it tough. So yeah, I just worry what it's like for athletes that retire when they're not at the top. And it's something that I'm always kind of open to chat to people about, because we need to make sure and kind of make sure these guys are okay and preserve what we have, because there's a lot of talent out there. And yeah, it's just getting that kind of career path that they have got something to step into when they do finish.
You're brutally honest in the book. You talk a lot about your mental health, some of the challenges you had there. You admit that there were times when you weren't a very pleasant person, particularly to be around, and some of your teammates obviously called a meeting with your coaches to talk about that. But you were able to get the help that you needed, and that you felt supported to seek that advice.
Yeah, like I rarely showed kind of weakness or failure within my career, but there became a time that I had to. I had to speak up, because I was really struggling. There was days that I could, I found it hard to get out the house to open the curtains, um, and that's when I did speak up. And I realized that there was times within my career as well that, um, as you say, I probably wasn't a very nice person to be around. And I think a lot of that comes down to me trying to be too perfect. I spoke at the start just about how when I was young, I was fearless and I didn't really care about losing or making mistakes. Like I tried everything, and luckily those wins came. But mid-career, I was probably trying too hard. I wanted everything to be absolutely perfect. And when you're trying to be a perfectionist, and you do make a mistakes, that's when things kind of snowball and it starts impacting not just yourself, but the full team around you. So I struggled a lot, and especially when it finished with missing the shot in Pyeongchang. I came home from the back of that, and I realized that success was like a magnet. I had so many messages, etc. when I won the worlds, when I got my bronze medal, but come failure, you don't get anything, do you? Nobody wants to show their part of your team or part of your support network. So that made it really, really tough, and it took for me to speak out. And I'm really, really glad that I did. There was times that I didn't want to go back to ice, so I did. I took extra time off, and eventually I managed to kind of pull myself back. I wasn't well, but I was well enough, and focused very hard on myself. Did just what I needed to do, and got myself out of there. And look at the other side, and it's amazing to feel that we then won Europeans and then went on and won the gold medal.
And you talk about the fact that you've achieved a state of happiness now in the book, but I guess it's never left you. It's never far away that, that state of mind could return.
Well, that's one of the reasons probably I retired, if I'm perfectly honest. On the back of the games, not once did it kind of cross my mind that, I might retire. And the curling season was getting closer and closer. And I remember just thinking, like, I can't go back to ice. And I was scared. I was really, really scared to return. Even though I had an Olympic champion medal, I European worlds, I was too scared to go back. And that's probably one of the reasons I was scared to go through everything I'd been through prior. And I was like, well, if I don't need to, like, why would I put myself even in the chance to go through that again? So I retired, and I don't have one regret. I'm working very hard now, doing other things, a different kind of focus, if you know what I mean. And yeah, just enjoying life, realizing that there is a life away from being a full-time athlete. Because being an athlete, you're in tunnel vision the full time. And now I realize that there's a lot more out there.
I think you had surgery on your hip, same as what Andy Murray had. And you've talked about the other issues that you went through. Do you think having those lows and difficulties makes it then better when you win the big thing? Did it mean more?
It did, yeah. I think when I won it and you saw the kind of emotion coming out, it was a massive sense of relief, I think. Having been through so much, as you say, hip surgery, constant kind of niggles. But if you want to be an Olympic champion, world champion, Grand Slam winner, you're going to have niggles in your body, unfortunately, and that's just what comes with being an athlete. And I was one of those athletes that had a messed up hip that needed a lot of work. So so there's a lot of kind of factors that led to the kind of satisfaction on the back of winning the medal, and injury was definitely one of them.
And you said how proud you were that you did this book and that you'd written it. Was it quite therapeutic?
No, it was hard. It
Right.
was really, really hard. I guess there was times when you're speaking about your kind of early days and you're remembering like family that unfortunately have passed away now, and how you always used to like be with my dad on the farm, and my mum taking me and my brothers along to curling. Yeah, like those, I guess, is great memories. But there was hard times in the book to write it. I would say probably more hard than not so. A lot of tears as well, and but I think that's again what comes with kind of reliving a lot of tough times.
Countdown. They give you the answers through an earpiece. I can't believe that you've ruined 40 years of tea time viewing by revealing that, Eve.
Well, you reckon I could be sitting there and saying, "Yep, I've got a 7." Absolutely not.
And
Mm.
it was one of those things that becoming an Olympic champion has allowed you to do some fantastic experiences that you talk about in the book, whether that's, working on television at the Open, playing pro celebrity golf. There's just been some great opportunities that's come through your curling.
Yeah, like people ask me, has your life changed since winning the gold? And I wouldn't say my life has changed, but I would say I've been given a lot more opportunities, and opportunities that are very special ones. You just named a few there. Probably one of the highlights for me is Sports Personality of the Year as well, getting third place. Like as a young kid, I used to watch it every single year, and I still do. I love the program, but then to actually be on it and to be nominated, but then to actually get one of the top three was really special. So there's lots of great opportunities I have had that have come my way, and I'm very lucky to have that.
Final question then from me, Eve, and I guess the response you should say at this point is buy and read the book. But when you look at your quality of life, mental well-being, the physical toll that the sport took on you, has it all been worth it?
100%. Yeah, of course it's been worth it. Yeah, I have. I absolutely loved my career that I've had. I'm very, very lucky that I've had the opportunities that I have had. And that's through like British Curling, UK Sport, National Lottery, funding. It's tough, I'm not gonna lie. Like there's no point in kind of fluffing around the edges. When you say you're a full-time athlete, everyone wishes that's what they did, but I'm not sure they realize everything that goes on behind the real athlete. And it's not just me. I would can probably speak for 90% of athletes in this country.
So, final two questions from me. Looking on and what you're doing now, chef de mission, part of making sure that athletes can perform their very best when they really need to, and hopefully we'll see that in February in Milano Cortina. Do you think that more athletes need to come into sport governance? We talked to Adam Jamili on this series a couple of episodes ago, and it's something he really wants to get into. I've been a huge campaigner for Sir Andy Murray to use the incredible intelligence that he has and help develop sport moving forward in the world. I think he might be taking up golf instead. But do you need more people like you?
I think so. I think we need people in the kind of governance side that have experienced it, so they can make an impact. Like interestingly, I was at a dinner with Denise Lewis last week, and she was speaking how she's now on the board of British Athletics, and she gave up her commentary, etc., to do that because she wants to be part of helping deliver for the next. And I absolutely love that. I think that's exactly what we need. It's the same for coaching as well. I think people like likes of myself that have experienced it, like let's give back. And that's one of the reasons I started my Muirhead Curling Academy, was to give back to the sport, get more people involved, open opportunities through corporate. Um, People don't really realize the kind of parallels with kind of business and sport, and there's so many when it comes to kind of delivering under pressure, decision making, teamwork, etc. And curling's a sport that is exactly that. So there's lots of opportunities out there, but I do think it's important that we get some retired athletes involved in the governance of all sports.
And the Winter Olympics is potentially changing as well as a sport that is on ice. What do you make of the suggestion that other sports that are not on snow and ice could be in the Winter Olympics, say cross country and cyclocross?
It's interesting because I think if we can get as many kind of mainstream sports in the Olympic Games, the better. Like the Olympic Games is the pinnacle of sport, and I'm always a firm believer that unless your sport, unless the Olympics is the pinnacle of your sport, should it be in the games? But I think winter sports, we've got such a small team as it is. There's not as many opportunities for new sports to be involved, but I think sports that do involve a kind of winter aspect, then yeah, why not? Let's have sports in the Olympic Games, but I'd like to think that we make sure that the Olympic gold medal is the pinnacle of their sport.
Chef de mission for Team GB for Milano Cortina 2026 and the Olympic Winter Games, Olympic champion and author of Eve Muirhead, Ice Queen, a terrific memoir that is out now, and we heartily recommend it. Thank you very much for speaking to Great British Bosses from Anything But Footy.
Thank you.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Find the biggest voices in sports on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like me, Ben Johnson, from the Perpetual Chess Podcast. We talk about the professional chess world and how to improve your game. Search for Perpetual Chess wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.